Well, hello. This is Don, usually giving you a rideshare story, but today I'm working on my journal. So, this is what I'm going to do. I tried writing it down, and I don't know. I don't write as well as I speak, and I don't speak as well as I should, but it's better than what I write. So, I thought this might be good for the grandkids or the great grandkids or whoever's still alive sometime in the future. Anyway, this is an incident. I had joined the Navy after high school, didn't know what I was going to do, and so I joined the Navy. Although my dad says, well, why don't you go to college like your older sister? And I said, well, I didn't want to go to college. I felt at that time, I felt you had to really be smart to go to college. And I knew that my older sister was real smart. She was always getting A's, maybe B's too, but mostly A's. And I knew I wasn't the type of student that she was. So I thought maybe I didn't qualify for college. So I just says, I'm going to the Navy. I don't know what else to do with myself. So I did that. Well, I went to boot camp, which was a traumatic experience for me. I mean, I know they're training you. And they told you what we're going to do after they get going. We're going to tear you down and then build you back up the way we want you to be. Well, I'd never had an experience like that before, and it was tough, but I made it. So, my first duty station from boot camp was to be assigned to the USS Richard B. Anderson, which was home ported in San Diego. But that doesn't mean it was in San Diego. It was actually in Japan. And so, I needed to be flown to Japan and other means of transportation. So the way this worked is I ended up with a group of us. We flew a PSA plane from San Diego to San Francisco, and it was only $18.75 one way. And we got there about 7:35 in the evening. And I had almost a 3-hour layover there. So I can remember my parents coming over and we visited at the airport. I think we had dinner. And then from there, we headed out on a bus to Travis Air Force Base, which is located up around Fairfield, California. And we got there a little bit after midnight. Or we were supposed to, And so then we didn't really have to be at Travis Air Force Base until noontime of that day, of the 4th of February. So we got there, and we actually got there the night before, and there was no place to sleep. So we were just laying on the floor, sitting in the couches, and then, they'd come by and they were cleaning the floor and waxing the floor, so they woke us up and moved us from place to place. It was a tough night anyway. So next day we're ready to take off. We get in the plane. This is a 4-engine propeller job. I can't remember I don't know if it was a C-120 or whatever it was. It was a plane that was going to fly us, well, most of the way to Japan. But in those days, you couldn't fly nonstop. So we took off, and it was cold and rainy from Travis Air Force Base on that afternoon around 2 o'clock. And we flew. And the first place that we landed in the evening was in Hawaii. Well, when they opened the door, it was really warm out there, and it felt nice after being in the cold Travis Air Force Base. But that was just temporary. It fueled us up. We didn't get off the plane, and we continued our journey. Now there was no way to, there's nothing to sleep in. I think, we had a seat to sit in, and it seemed, as I recall, this type of seat was against the bulkhead. In other words, you weren't looking at the straight ahead on the plane. You were looking at the sides of it. So we flew and flew and flew. And bear in mind that we're going to cross the international date line. So as we do that, it seemed like, we couldn't keep track of when is the sun rising or setting or where are we, whatever. It was kind of confusing. But the next place that we stopped actually was in Wake Island. And we landed in Wake Island. It was like to have lunch, as I recall. And Wake Island is like it's a desert island out in the Pacific Ocean. And it was hot. Man, it was hot. And so anyway, we got off the plane, ate, and then we got back on the plane and headed off for Japan. So then we got to Japan. Well, it was at night. And actually, it was 3 days later than we started, but actually only 2 days later because of the international date line, we lost a day. So we get to Japan, and they put us in a bus, and we're bouncing around. And bear in mind that it is cold there. It's like snowing. So as you can see, we'd gone some pretty extreme weather. So we got to Japan, they pulled up, took us to the base where we went to, and checked us in, and I said, okay, grab a bunk. You're going to stay here for a while. Your ship's not here. So I got there, slept a little bit, got up, ate breakfast, and I was actually cleaning the brightwork. That means the brass on the front door. Well, in walks a guy that was going to the same ship as I was. His name was John Clark. So John walks in, and he says, "What are you doing?" I says, "Well, I'm here. Our ship's not here, so get ready to just do some work around here." So a few minutes later, he's heading back out. I said, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to catch a ship." I says, "Oh, criminy, I better go check up." So I went into the front office and said, "Hey, there's a guy that's going to the same ship I am, and he's just going to the ship. And they said that the ship wasn't here, but apparently it is." They just look at me and says, "You get 10 minutes. You get up there, get your sea bag and all the stuff in it, and get out of here." So, was it my mistake? No, it was somebody's mistake in the bureaucracy. So we headed over to the ship. I remember getting over there. It was, I don't know, probably in the afternoon. And I got there, and right away I met some people, and they said, "Hey, we're going to the movies. You want to go with us?" I said, "Sure." So went to the movie, and while I was in the bathroom, I looked down, and my glasses fell off, and it broke one of the lenses. Well, my vision was 2400, and I didn't have a spare pair of glasses. So they said, it wasn't much of a movie I could watch. So we ended up, when we went back to the ship, kind of reported I don't have any glasses, and of course they says, "Well, why are you supposed to have a spare pair?" I said, "Oh, I don't, just have this one." And so the interesting thing is, the very next day we were heading out for Formosa, which is now called Taiwan. And we were on what they call the Formosa Patrol. We'd circle around the island and make sure the Chinese didn't come over there to the Formosa. And as so I was out there without any glasses for quite a while. And I just tell you a real brief one on that. It was kind of interesting. They didn't believe me when I says, I can't see without my glasses. "Oh yeah, fine. We're going to have you. You're going to be the lookout. Here's a pair of binoculars. You can look through that." So I get up there, and in fact, I walked over it was hard. I just couldn't see anything. It was dark, and I get up there. And they put the binoculars up. Can you look out and see this and that? And I says, no, I can't see anything. Well, they still thought I wasn't telling the truth, but I really couldn't see. The binoculars didn't make any difference. And so then they had me walking around, and I think I walked over the officer of the deck and bumped into him. And said, "Bosun mate, get this guy off the bridge," because I couldn't see. So I spent some time. They assigned me, I think it was to the laundry, because I could work in the laundry. You know, I didn't need to see as much in the laundry as I didn't have to be a lookout if I was in the laundry. So anyway, that was one Navy story, just when I first got started in the Navy. Thanks.